He had found traded primarily in what he likely to call stressed bonds. If a distressed bond has an 80 to 90% chance of default, a stressed bond has a 50% chance of default, he explained. Shaky mortgage bonds were right in his wheelhouse. A brilliant mathematics student at Yale, Relev became an options trader who searched for anomalies between the prices of two different but related securities. By taking advantage of those anomalies, he made money from a standing start in Red Relief built White the Box into a $4 billion hedge fund. An advocate of the new field of behavioral economics, Red Lab believed that markets were not always rational, that models were not always right, and that Wall Street's blind adherence to both gave him plenty of opportunity to make money. To him, the mortgage market was as good an example of Wall Street's short-sightedness has anything you can possibly find. After the crisis, he wrote a book with White the Box College, Richard Vigilant, and entitled Panic, in which he is spelling out his philosophy. This ideology of modern finance replaced the capitalist appreciations for free markets has a context for human creativity with the worship of efficient markets has substitutes for that creativity. The capital understands free markets as an arena for the contenting judgments of free men. The ideologies of modern financials dreaming of efficient markets has a replacement for that movement and almost has a replacement for the men the most gloriously efficient of all supposedly were modern public securities market in all their ethereal electronic glory. To these most perfect markets, the priesthood of financial attributed powers of calculation and control for extending not only the abilities of any human participant in them, but the fondest dreams of any communist are picking away of the next 5-year plan. To Randolph, the cause of the crisis was simple. Wall Street had uh, substituted elaborate, statistically based insurance schemes that, with the height of efficient financial markets, were assumed to make old-fashioned credit analysis and human judgment irrelevant. Randolph's prime epiphany had come years before, where he listened to a presentation by a New Century executives at an investment conference. He was struck by the fact that 85% of the New Century's mortgages were cash out financing. He asked the New Century executives about the default rate for the refinancings as opposed to the mortgages that were used to purchase a new home. The main side he didn't know, but speculated that they probably weren't any different. This didn't ring true to Radolfo Good's experience with corporate bonds suggested that defaults were much higher when the debt went to pay off cedars. What that went for general corporate purpose. Cash out, refits struck him as the homeowner's version of paying off insiders. Redleaf had another insight. Even back then, he could see that the business models long touted by the Supreme originators made sense. The companies were saying that they could grab market share on the one hand while still using underwriting standards what we need out borrowers likely to default. I have seen this movie before. He said you can have tighter standards and growth share. You can even have different standards. In the end, you wind up lending money to people who can't pay it back, and that isn't a good business model for a public company. Still, Redleaf didn't immediately act out his instinct, saying the New Century guys in the 2002 just bought the throat in the back and me of my head. He said later he knew it was early in the cycle and began early is often the same as began grown. Besides, there was no way to short the subprime markets except by shorting the mortgage originators themselves, an unappealing prospect given how far their stocks were climbing.